Welcome back to a new video. In this one, I'm going to be welding in these reinforcements to the front subframe, rear subframe, and trailing arm. So these right here go in right into that little pocket right there. These right here go on the rear shock tower. These brackets right here get welded into place right here, and then you hammer those down so that it'll close that gap right there after you have a bead right there. These right here are for the rear subframe where the differential mounts up to. This is for the top mounts, and then the lower mounts for the rear differential. These right here, I'm assuming on the back side, go right there. They don't go like this. And then these are the rear sway bar reinforcements. So I'm gonna start by grinding off all the metal in between these pieces right here, so I can run a bead from this plate down to the frame, all the way there, through there, through there, and through there, and around up through there. All the area that I have to weld is good now. Flap dist it and it's all smooth now. These two are good, all cleaned up. So again, I came in with the Sharpie, got that all lined out just to give me a better idea of what I need. Bare metal. So that's the best that I can get it cleaned. Now, before I do anything, I'm gonna hit that with some weld through primer because I don't want to leave it bare metal between the layers. So I'm gonna hit primer on one side of this, the side that's gonna be down, and then primer down here. Weld through primer is on nice and good. Got them both burned in now. It's kind of hard to get the gun in there, but I figured it out. Now I can come in and do the top plate. Actually, I'm gonna paint it first and then do the top plate after. So now I'm just gonna spray some primer onto it because once I have the other piece, it's gonna be like covering a majority of it. So it's easier just to get some paint on it now. These are these two in primer, so nothing's gonna rust in there. Now I can take this plate right here, have this side down, and that side right there up. Got that first bead on top, tacked it right there, and then tacked it in the corner right there as well. So with the hammer, all welded in all the way around. Got the weld all the way around, and these two are good now. Now I can move on to sway bar reinforcement. That's in place now with the bottom side primered, hole lined up. Now I'm gonna clamp this down and put a tack right next to it. Got a tack there, and then I came through with the vice grip, clamped it down on this side, put a tack on, and then clamped it down on this side, put a tack on, so it's all nicely sitting flat. Got this back side welded up right here. I got everything done. There's that side, there's the back of that, the back of that, and that all welded up all the way around and under with that. So now I'm gonna take some brake clean right there and get all that grime off, and then I'm gonna come in with the red Scotch-Brite. If you watch my videos, you know I love that thing. And I'm gonna use some chassis paint to give it a nice layer of paint. I got everything all nice and clean with that wire brush. I just spent like a good hour on it. No grease anywhere. And I wanted to make sure all the oil and grease was off, because if not, paint won't stick to it. I did the 2 light coats, so now this is gonna be the medium one. Before, here it is all painted. It actually has like a nice feel to it. I hope it lasts. It's all super clean. Here's the reinforcement. If you didn't know what you're looking for, it kind of looks stock, which is cool. And then here's the top. Now that all this is out, I'm gonna take all the axle bolts out and take the diff out, because this one is open diff. So I'm about to weld this up. Now that the rear subframe is out of the car, I can focus on welding in the reinforcements here and here on both sides. And this one is the one that came out of the convertible. And here I have the poly bushings from Garagistic, and I'm gonna leave them in and paint around them, because these things are basically welded to this washer right here, and I tried hitting it with a hammer and it won't come out, so I'm just gonna leave it. I don't want to mess with that. Before the wire wheel, after. One of the plates is going to get welded right here, another one right across here, and the other one right there. This piece is tacked on. So I was gonna weld it in like this with the big side out this way and have it like that, but if I flip it around and have the big side tucked in and have this running along that side, that makes a lot more sense. So that's gonna get welded in like that. This was the first one right here. The machine was on the wrong settings, heat was wrong, and the wire speed was all wrong. It was ugly. This one was also, welding in short sleeves, don't do it because it burns really badly. Had to stop a bunch. And then that one was the last one when I started dialing it in. And I got all that welded in. So now I can paint this and get it all in chassis paint. These are the trailing arms that came out of the coupe, and I'm going to refresh them, get them all painted, replace these bushings with polyurethane bushings, put new wheel bearings in, put my brakes from the convertible on, stainless brake lines, and just go over it and clean all these up, and also weld in the reinforcement for the rear sway bar. I'm not going to be using a rear sway bar, but I'm going to do it because I'm already here. So this is a nice before shot of all this. And then I guess I'm just gonna get working and cleaning everything up. Stripping this trailing arm went a lot smoother than I originally thought it was going to go. This is the old wheel bearing, and it did have a FAG one, so this one looks like it was replaced. But I used a 32 mil socket and bashed it out on the center, because this is an old bearing. I don't need this. I don't have to worry about the banging on the outside. And then I used a 30 mil to bang that hub out right there. So this hub, in like 5 hammer hits with a little sledge, popped out really nice and easily. And now I'm gonna clean all this up, spray paint it all black with some chassis paint, and get all that cleaned up and clean all this up because it's so crusty. Now that it's not as dirty, I can weld in the rear sway bar reinforcement. So there's a little lip right here that you're gonna need to cut off with an angle grinder, and then that will allow this plate to sit flush right there, and then you can give her some weld onto there, but obviously with the hole lined up. So that's all cleaned up, ready for weld now. As you can see, that's how it's gonna sit. Very nice. 30 mil. C-clips out like that. Now I just take this little 3-inch PVC thing, slide it over like that, and with a 32 millimeter. It's gonna be hitting on the inside of the bearing, but I'm replacing these bearings, so I'm only doing this for taking it out. Then I'm gonna use one of these to put it back in. Here we go. I got the bushings taped off because I can't be asked to take them out, and I rubbed the whole thing down with acetone. So now that this is drying and it's in paint, I'm gonna turn over and weld in the reinforcement for the rear sway bar. Got it all tacked in. Got my hoodie on even though it's like 90 out. Now I'm ready to burn it in. Now that the settings are all dialed in, it's a lot easier to make prettier welds. And here it is, all cleaned up. Burned her in nice. This one is all nice and cleaned up. All that is clean. So now I need to do the same to this one. Clean it all up, get everything prepped for weld, and then I can burn the bushings out and put the new poly ones in. Now I can take this big ass torch to burn out these bushings and replace them with these poly bushings. And the last piece of reinforcement is when I finally am zoning into the welding skills. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than when I started on that subframe. And there she is, all welded in. So now, I'm not gonna leave you guys with this all unpainted and ugly. I'm gonna finish painting these up, getting the bushings put in, new wheel bearings in, get the hub painted up, clean up those shields, and then that newly refreshed welded diff into the painted subframe, and give you guys a look at what all that looks all done. So you can see here on the left is a thicker side, right is a thinner side. On the Garagistic website it says thinner on the inner. So you put the thinner side on the inner side of the trailing arm. So this side will go like this with the thinner side on the inside, and then this side will go like this with the thinner side again on the inside. Got it all taped off and wiped off with acetone, so now I can just finish the paint up. So I'm gonna use this 1/2-inch pipe thread thing from Home Depot because it's like almost perfectly the size, a little bit bigger. And I'm gonna use some grease on the outside of the bearing. So that bearing is in flush. Now I'm just going to use the old bearing and hammer that in because obviously it's the same size as the new one. There we go, it's seated. Now I can take this circlip and pop it right back in. Before. I'm gonna use some of this white lithium grease on the bushings to try and get them so that they don't squeak when they're in. After. And over here, got the bushings pressed in with this little thing right here, that clamp. Bushings are looking good. Wheel bearing is looking good. It's looking brand new. These two got the new wheel bearings and trailing arm bushings in. So now I'm gonna focus on these hubs, get them all cleaned up, painted, so that those don't look crusty on those. So right here I got the hubs pushed in with a hammer and a socket right in the middle right there. And before, when I did that, it was very loose with a lot of play and I couldn't find any information anywhere. So I guess what the issue was, I took an axle and I put it in and tightened it with the impact, and now that I took it out, it's in there and it's tight now. So I'm assuming if you don't have a press, it doesn't get pushed in fully with a hammer. So once the axle goes in and tight, you don't have to worry about it if it's loose, because right now it was really loose and now there's no play at all. Now that the e-brake assembly is in, on both of them, I can start putting the rotors, caliper, brake lines, and everything else on. E-brake assemblies all together, rotors, calipers, brake lines, all tight and on. Now I can put these onto the subframe. So there we have it. Rear subframe is fully assembled. Poly bushings are in there. Rear sway bar tab is reinforced right there. Everything is painted with chassis paint. It would be better to powder coat them, but fuck it. These, I can't be asked to paint them right now, but once the car's together, I will paint them. New wheel bearings, new e-brake assembly, new everything. The diff right here, all that brand new. Welded in, reinforced, and the same on this side. That's good. Thanks for watching. Follow me on Instagram if you want more up-to-date updates. And there you go. Thanks for watching. Quick little shot of everything all installed, and it looks so good. E-brake cables are all in, which I've never had an e-brake before, so it's a big deal to me. Everything looks so good though.